Leaders are the trusted servants, they do not go. You know, I was thinking when Don was standing up here with that hat, I thought that was going to be the next song, the Everly Brothers of the Stone Age. Oh, I'll tell you, in the 38 years I've been doing conventions and roundups, I have never been as well informed in my life. With letters, with emails, with conversations. You know, I knew who was going to meet me, and they were there, and I knew who to contact, and they were there. And, you know, every dream that I've ever had in life has come true. The only way this guy could get from the Salvation Army at the Skipper of Vancouver to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, is through the grace of God and rooms like this. My name is Lew F, and I'm a recovered alcoholic. And I've not found it necessary to take a drink or any other mood-altering stimulant since November the 16th of 1963. And I'm a member of the Making Changes group in Shellback, British Columbia. Meets on Tuesday night. And sometimes we fight making these changes. Sometimes we fight making these changes. I don't know why. But I always start off with a little story. I got one of the guys in the taping department, he's copied it. And I got a feeling he's published it somewhere. But anyway, and it's a story that I find very appropriate for Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's the story of the teenage son of a minister. And he said to his dad one day, "When can we talk about me driving the car?" And he said, "Well, when you bring your grades up, see you reading the Bible on a regular basis, and you get that long haircut, we'll talk." So you know this cockiness of a teenager. About 6 months later, he come back and said to his dad, "When can we talk about driving the car?" And his father said, "Well, I noticed your grades have come up a bit, son." He said, "I've seen you reading the Bible fairly regular, but you've still got that long hair." And he looked at his father and he said, "You know, Jacob had long hair. And Moses had long hair. And Jesus had long hair." And his father said, "You notice they walked everywhere they went." I don't know if you're going to get a haircut or not, but that's up to you. And you know this thing, it's a very simple thing. Alcoholics Anonymous has no fixed address. You take it with you, wherever you go. Lady said to me there in here this week, "Where do you live?" And I said, "Right here." She said, "Oh, I thought you were from Canada." And I said, "Oh, I have a mailing address up there, my wife up there, but the home that God gave me, I'm living right here." Your life, your philosophy, and everything else, you take it with you. That little card of my business card where it says you don't have to tell how you live each day. You don't have to say if you work or you play. A tried true barometer serves in its place. However you live, it will show in your face. If your life is unselfish, if for others you live for not what you get but how much you can give, if you live close to God in His infinite grace, you don't have to tell Him. It will show in your face. I get very emotional because of the life that I lived and the life that you people allow me to live today. I'm scared to pray for anything for fear of getting it. I've worked in the field of alcoholism for quite some time. I've been very involved in a number of areas. A member of this fellow that was our group, and he was going to see this psychiatrist. And he said, I'm getting more confused all the time. I said, "Do you know how you drive a psychiatrist crazy?" He said, "No." I said, get two drunks to memorize the same dream and go see them, and every Monday change the symptoms. This is what we live on, the symptoms. There's no symptom. This is the real thing, this alcoholism. You just sit down on a park bench and watch it go by. It's not a mystery. I was born right on the border of the state of Maine, in New Brunswick. And it's an interesting thing. I don't go into long drink-by-drink tours of the country, because when I get into that, I start exaggerating, or call it lying. My old sponsor, he was from Tyler, Texas. He said, I was at a meeting one night, and the lady said, I was at a meeting last night, it was so spiritual you could feel it. He said, down here we call them bareback riders, they don't need a saddle. I mean, it's nice to have your head up there with God, but keep your feet in the ground, that's where your fellow travelers are. And so, but I look back, I don't know a whole lot about my life. I was taken away from my mother when I was 7 months of age. My mother was a gorgeous lady, from what I've found out the pictures of her from when she died. I never ever seen her. But they said she was the spitting image of Gloria de Havilland with the big floppy hats and that. She was gorgeous. And she had a hotel in a railroad divisional town, and she supplied the men with everything, food, loving, and lodging. And I guess she was away in December, which you're looking at 40 below zero weather in New Brunswick, with one of her, I suppose they'd be called a client today. And a lady found me in a bed or a crib, and she had no idea how long I'd been there, but there was no heat. And she took me and gave me to the two people who became my mom and dad. I was 7 months old, and they raised me. And this, I never knew who my mom was. I knew her name, and I have no idea who my dad is. I've never seen him. And I'll get into something that is, to me, so vital today, towards the end. But my daddy couldn't read or write a word that raised me, and we found out in 1991 that my mother had grade 5 education. And they gave me a great home and a great opportunity. I was the only child. An opportunity for everything. But you know, when I always bow my head when I say the serenity prayer, because it says God grant. And do you know, when you apply for a grant, if you merit it, you'll get it. If you don't, you won't. So I think sometimes we think we're going to get serenity just by saying the serenity prayer. It don't work that way. It don't work that way. Serenity is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to cope with it. And so I think sometimes we get so serene, we just doze off. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, except when you wake up, it's still there. But I want to tell you, I went to school, I got minimal education, but I done a couple of things that I shall never forget. When I was 16, just over 16 years of age, I was put in jail for 30 days for car theft and impaired driving. And when I got out of there that following summer, I went to a dance about 30 miles from home with 3 of my buddies on a Friday. And I come back the following Wednesday, and the only way I could have been any drunker is to be bigger. And I walked into our home, and my mom was a little short lady. And she started giving me a lecture, as any mom would do. And why I did what I did, don't ask me. But I hauled up and hit her right in the face, and she went down in front of our kitchen sink